your mind.
To Open Your Mind Radio, you have myself, Alan James.
And myself, Stephen George. Good evening.
Good evening. It's the 25th of November 2018. I'm going to apologise now. I still have a little tickly cough. And I have the odd, I'm going to have the odd coughing fit when I'm talking, so apologies.
A coughing fit.
A coughing fit, so apologies. I have a drink of water ready anyway, so if that happens, I'll be grabbing that. Anyway, before we get into things, I just want to make a quick mention, and I'm sure people have seen the madness that is called Black Friday. Have you seen the videos?
I've seen some of the footage, yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's just nuts. It really is just nuts. Imagine people fighting over the TVs and all that. What happens if we run out of food? Imagine what's going to happen.
It's pandemonium.
It's just going to be a nightmare. I just hate to see that happening. Anyway, our guest on the show tonight is a chap called Gerald O'Donnell. And Gerald is a remote viewer and ex-intelligence service. And we're going to be talking to Gerald shortly all about his background, his experience, and loads of other things, loads of other topics that we can touch base on. But before we do that, let's find out what the communication channels are.
Okay, communication channels, folks.
The communication channels are email info@oymireland.com, by phone 046 927 1212, and you can also contact us direct through the OYM chat room.
Okay, yes, the chat room can be found on the website, which is oymradio.com, and I'm going to say hi to everyone who's already logged into the chat room. If you do have a username and password, simply click on the chat room, enter those details, and you can join the fun, frolics and festivities on the chat room. And like I say, a big hi to everyone logged in. We also monitor the chat room on People's Internet Radio. That's peoplesinternetradio.com. And an equally bunch of friendly individuals over there as well, and a big hi to all of you. Also on our own website, the OYMradio.com, you will see the links on the left hand side. There's a load of links there for the YouTube channel, the email, which is info@oymradio.com, which if you feel like dropping us a link during the day, during the week, or during the show, just fire us off an email just to say hi, let us know where you're listening from or what you think of the show. We also have the link there for the Skype, the anti-social media, Facebook, the Twitter, and also the new bad boy on the block is the MeWe. A lot of people have actually joined us, followed us over to MeWe, so yeah, thanks for doing that. It's much appreciated, and it is an alternative to Facebook if you're not familiar with it already. Also on our own website there, you will see the usual links, the players there for the United We Start Marathon, and I actually never give that a mention, and I should. That's once a month that actually happens, so you can listen to the podcast there, or you can actually listen to the live show. I believe it's the second Saturday. I'm looking at Alan for confirmation.
Exactly, the second Saturday, the actual, We Start round table.
The round table, that's it. Yeah, so do check that out as well. We'd love to have you just listen in on that on the second Saturday. There is a website there as well, unitedwestart.org, I believe, so do check that out also. And yeah, on the second Saturday you can join on the chat room there, join in on the chat room and say hi. We also have on the website, our own website, we have a link to the TuneIn Radio Link application. That's a free app for your smartphone or your iPhone, where you can listen to us all day every day should you wish to do so. Anyway, Alan.
Brilliant, Steve. Okay, and you might find that the audio might be a little bit different. We're actually operating from Studio 2 at the moment, so everything's going according to plan so far. I think everything sounds okay, so fingers crossed.
Yep. You can just let us know if the audio is okay, if it's better or worse.
Okay, yeah, just keep us posted on the chat room there. Right, Steve, you're going to kick us off.
Okay, I'm going to kick us off. Yeah, we have some news, and it says there seems to be a programmed push on socialism, and based on our own research, we said we will not be a fan of this at all. We're not aware of any country that has been successful with socialism, and if anything, it's just another way to control the masses. When you really get into what socialism really is. If you think things are bad with the golden circle in Ireland and the 1%, it will get a lot worse with socialism. Now, we're not saying that that capitalism is the solution, but it's better than socialism. What we should be going towards is the trust funds. What we should be going towards, if the trust funds are released to the people, is communitarianism. Thanks for the
That's
big.
a
Thank
big
you,
word.
thank you, Alan, for the big words. Communitarianism is a philosophy that emphasises the connection between the individual and the community. Its overriding philosophy is based upon the belief that a person's social identity and personality are largely moulded by community relationships, with a smaller degree of development being placed on individualism. Although the community might be a family, communitarianism usually is understood in the wider philosophical sense as a collection of interactions among a community of people in a given place, geographic location, or among a community who share an interest or who share a history. Communitarianism usually opposes extreme individualism and disagrees with an extreme economic doctrine that opposes governmental regulation of or interference in commerce beyond the minimum necessary for a free enterprise system to operate according to its own economic laws. And we say, why should an unelected bureaucrat in Europe dictate what my local community can and cannot do? Common law should apply.
So there you go.
Thanks for that answer, Alan. I thank you.
You like that word. So basically what that's a bit is just saying, look, we know capitalism is not a solution. It's actually better than socialism, but where we should be going is back to community values. And somebody who's a bureaucrat in Europe should not be dictating, an unelected bureaucrat should not be dictating to what a local community does, because they don't know anything about the community and what their needs are. So looking at communitarianism means that it's community based, the community control it, and they run everything. And I think that's where we have to go back to. That's what we used to have years ago. Before, the big companies, the big corporates came in, the Aldis, the Tesco's, and all that came in. I was talking to one of the lads in the shed there last week. One of the older gentlemen, he's about 84, and he said, would you believe that when he came to the village, your village, Steve, there was 27 businesses.
That's
in the
correct,
village.
yeah.
27. How many there now? 3?
I'm
or 4?
going to say 1, 2. There's 2 pubs, 2 shops, and a fast food joint. So 5 businesses.
So how many pubs are open?
2 pubs open.
2 pubs open. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's gone down from 27 down to what? 4 or 5?
5.
5. And so we have to go back to community and shop local and all that. So I just wanted to mention that people can go and check it out and do your own research on that one. Right. Have you got anything to add, or will we go over to Alan and Steve's week?
Oh, we can go over to Alan and Steve's week, I suppose.
How's your week?
Yeah, my week's been fine. I'm not going to bore people with idle chit-chat. Not too much happening. Just been kind of keeping a watch on what's been happening on the internet, just for a laugh. All this Black Friday, as you said, all this Black Friday stuff, where goods and items are getting sold for half price or whatever. And I did see something on the internet, and it kind of made me laugh. And it said, when you see something that's normally €1,000, dollars, pounds, or whatever, and you buy it for 750, and people go, well, I saved 250. No, you didn't. You just spent 750. You didn't save anything. You still paid money to buy it. So therefore, if you paid money and someone gave you back 250, fine. But yeah, I've been having a laugh at that. No, I didn't buy anything because I don't know. I'm not really too pushed on joining all these queues and joining all these people who run into stores and get trampled on like it's. Like it's the last, it's like as if it's a store selling food, and it's the last food that ever, So no, I don't get involved in that. But I did watch some of the videos, as Alan mentioned at the top of the show, and it's laughable. It's if you put anyone who's familiar with Benny Hill and the chase music, you could put the chase music to that, and it would just make a lot of sense. Other than that, the only other thing I want to mention is myself and Alan had a little bit of fun yesterday.
Clarify that.
I'm going to clarify that. Myself and Alan had some fun yesterday. We were in the men's shed. I'll have to clarify further. Both Alan and I were in the men's shed, and we had some fun with some tools, some electric tools, and also some hand tools. Digging a hole here. But yeah, we had some fun. We actually got back to basics. We had some timber, and we had some drawings that Alan kindly did, and we had a saw. Some drills, nuts and bolts, and what have you, and we knocked up a little shelf. Well, it's not a shelf; it's like a rack. We had some fun doing that, and it got us away from the technology, away from the ladies, and in an environment fit for men, with loads of power tools and stuff like that. So yeah, we had a bit of fun doing that. That's it. That's the highlight of my week.
Okay.
How's yours?
Well, as you know, me and you were talking during the week.
We were.
And so basically, myself and Steve had to talk about the future of OYM radio during the week. And we're coming up to 8.5 years being on air. And although we would like to keep things going, for financial reasons, I need to get out working on paying some bills. If this happens, then I won't have the time to dedicate to OYM and the projects. Now, regular listeners know that Steve works full-time, doing the 9 to 5, and has a bigger family than me, so his time is very limited. As I'm not working full-time, I can dedicate more time to OYM at the moment. But OYM is like a full-time job. People might only hear a 2-hour show on Sunday, but there's a lot of work that goes on in the background and communicating with listeners, guests, project work, and all other stuff that goes on. The hotline goes off as well. So one of the listeners on the chat room last week suggested that we set up a Patreon page where people can support us on a monthly basis, like Thomas has done on THI, and it's working out well for Thomas. He can dedicate more time in what he does. So basically, OYM have two options. We can either finish OYM at the end of the year and maybe do the odd show now and again if time allows, or launch a Patreon page and see if OYM can get the support from our listeners to fund a full-time role for me. Now, there is a couple of things on this. Now, there's only 2 live alt radio shows in Ireland at the moment that we know of. Mick, unfortunately, is now podcasting, recorded, but we are going to help Mick out and get him back up and running with his own radio station or his own show, which we are happy to do. So we're in the process of helping Mick out there, because only 2 alt media shows that we know of in Ireland. I mean, that's just mad. You'd expect to be a hell of a lot more. So obviously we would love to continue with OEM, but bills have to be paid and food has to be put on the table. So what we have decided to do is launch a Patreon page where people can choose to donate from $5, the price of a coffee, basically a month, going up to $15 a month. Less, obviously you have to take in Patreon's commission, which is apparently 11%, if not more. Then the currency transfer from dollars to euros, plus PayPal fees, that all has to be taken into account. Now, remember Thomas's initial thought about how we can solve the problem was very easy. Remember Thomas said about if 100,000 people, just for example, in Ireland, donated €1 a month, then that's 100,000 euros coming in a month, and you could help so many people with it. Now, we're not saying we want to do that with Patreon or OYM, but the whole concept of the solution is very easy. It is very easy. If we all got together and did this. Now, we just need enough really to cover the bills and for myself, if I can get some kind of little salary from it just to pay the bills, and then some of the money would be used for project work and the usual stuff. We still have PayPal as well, that's there as well. But $5 is what, €440, which is the price of a coffee really. So at the end of the show, I'm going to say at the end of the show, I'm going to do it now. We're now going to launch the Patreon page, if I can find it here.
I'll give you a drum roll if we have one.
Okay, let me just find them. So I'm going to click on launch. Right, our Patreon page is now launched, hopefully. I've clicked on launch. It should be launching there. And it's so you go to patreon.com /OYM radio. That's the link. Patreon.com, patreon.com /OYM radio. And that's basically us live, so you can have a look at that. And basically check it out and see, if you can afford it, if you want to support us, if you like what we do, then that would be fantastic. PayPal will still be available. If you decide you don't want to use Patreon, then you can always use PayPal if need be. But it keeps the lights on with OEM, and it's very, very much appreciated. Now, the good thing about this is that the Patreon is only going to be, we are only going to need Patreon until the trust funds are released. Now, everybody who's a regular listener knows about Thomas and Kim and the foundation and the trust funds and everything else. And THI is the same. I was speaking to Thomas earlier today, and or was it yesterday? Yesterday maybe. And he said the same thing. He said they're only running Patreon until the trust funds are released, and then they won't need Patreon. So it's not going to be an ongoing thing for the next few years. It could be just a few months maybe. We won't know until the trust funds are released. But they'll be the trust fund will be funding everything from then on. So hopefully it's only going to be for a short period of time. So, but that's it really. We would appreciate your support. We're going to leave the decision in the hands of the listeners. If you feel you want to keep OYM on the air, then, please support us. So it's in your hands, that's all we can say. So we haven't booked any guests in for January. We've had queries for interviews for January. We've had guests that want to come on in January, but we haven't done any schedule for January. We've just run the schedule up to the last Sunday in December. Which will be the annual review show with myself and Steve, and then we'll see what happens after that. But we'll keep you posted. We'll let you know, because everything has to be transparent, and we'll let you know how things are going. You'll see the figures on the Patreon page. We're not hiding any figures. Everything will be there. You'll see it for yourself, and then we'd appreciate your support. That'd be brilliant. Now, that was a long-winded talk there, very rare for us. So let's get our guest on now. Gerald O'Donnell is obviously does a bit of Irish in there somewhere. We'll find out from Gerald. He's a remote viewer and intelligence service, and basically we're going to get Gerald on. I'm going to talk to him all about that. Steve's going to read out his bio before we bring Gerald in.
Okay, Gerald is the foundation of the Academy of Remote Viewing and Remote Influencing, the ARVARI, and a world-renowned remote viewer who has employed for several years by Western Intelligence Agency. He has been recognised as a visionary in mind consciousness research and remote viewing and influencing. Gerald is a certified hypnotherapist. Since 1997, Gerald has dedicated his life to guiding his students in harnessing the highest levels of creative energy so that they can rapidly manifest their innermost desires. His healing and empowering meditations have helped thousands of seekers turn their thoughts into reality and begin their transformative journey towards oneness. Back in the 1980s, Gerald was recruited by a Western European intelligence agency to join their ongoing program of remote viewing, sensing of targeted locations. The agency had initiated this covert operation to counter the remote sensing activities of the well-funded, fully functional extrasensory perception unit of the Soviet KGB and GRU, that's the Soviet Foreign Intelligence Agency. At the agency, Gerald taught special forces, anti-terrorist units and intel operatives advanced remote viewing and sensing techniques. Through his coaching, the intelligence operatives were able to dramatically heighten their inner intuitive faculties that allowed them to sense potentially dangerous situations beforehand and foresee the general outcomes that they could encounter in their probable future. He also trained these operatives in the powerful inner art of diffusing many of these dangerous and untoward situations arising in their proximate personal probable futures, either by avoiding them, deflecting them, neutralizing them, or most powerfully by changing their outcome in advance, remote influencing, by using a special energized mind powers. Wow, that's some resume. That is some resume.
Something else. Good evening, Gerald. How are you doing?
Good evening to you. I'm doing great.
Thanks a lot for
I hope I won't get a little cough like you have, but I'm sorry. We spoke, was it 2 weeks ago? Maybe you caught my cough over the phone.
That's probably something like that. We'll just say to the listeners that Gerald also is not feeling well, and he's a cold and stuff like that. So the two of us are feeling the symptoms. So
I'm feeling left out here. Can I have a cough too?
I'll just cough all over you now in a minute. Don't worry.
It's
Gerald,
a virtual virus. Yeah.
that's the virtual virus. Gerald, thanks a lot for coming on. Obviously, we had a quick chat a couple of weeks ago, and we got talking about, the simulated program, and we will get into all of that stuff there. But let's get into the main core topic here, which is the remote viewing. Because people find this quite fascinating. And somebody said to me the other day, they said to me, who's the guest on the show on Sunday? And I told them it was yourself and remote viewing. And he said, oh yeah, well that's like meditation. And I said, no, it's not meditation. But I could be wrong. So do you want to tell us what is remote viewing and how do you do it?
Yeah, you can define, all these are buzzwords like meditation, state of, altered state of consciousness, deep state of hypnosis. They all really are different ways or nomenclatures for what is really the art of going within yourself. You connect to your subconscious. All of the subconscious, because if we didn't have a subconscious, it wouldn't exist. Not even a biology would exist. So the conscious mind is a tiny part, maybe 5% of what you think is your total mind. And what we teach people is to become conscious gradually of their subconscious. So they go deeper within themselves and they become more conscious of the inner processes that give us, you, I, and everybody else, this perception of reality. And as you get deeper, you start noticing that what you think is reality is something that is much more malleable that you think, and then there are probabilities of future. That's what quantum physics has found out lately, that you can play with, and then you can change basically those probabilities based on your energized thoughts. And in order to be very powerful, you have to go very deep inside and be conscious.
Sorry, just had to cough there.
It's okay.
My understanding about the remote viewing, and the story I heard was that in the 1960s, a politician, an American politician, was they were talking about the refunding of the remote viewing program, and of course when they found out they were looking to do cutbacks, and the politician was told, put something in a drawer in your filing cabinet in your house, like a piece of paper, or draw something on it, or write something on it, and then come down to where we are. So he comes into the remote viewing, and he gets introduced, and he says, right, okay, we want to have this funded again as a project. And of course, the two guys who were the remote viewers were in a room having a cigarette with a pen and paper, and they were just talking to each other and writing stuff down. And the politician said, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to fund two guys in a room having a cigarette and talking. And the guy said, well, hang on a minute, he said. So he called the two guys out, and the two guys gave him the piece of paper. And on the piece of paper it said, your house is this, your filing cabinet is this, you put this piece of paper in the fourth drawer down, and this is what you wrote on the piece of paper. And then the politician kind of took out the checkbook and said, how much do you want? Because obviously, the CIA and whoever used this, there's places that you cannot get to. Maybe, during the Cold War, if you want to believe there was a Cold War, that there's, certain places that you physically couldn't get into. So the remote viewing could actually do this.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's like psychic reading. Yeah, you can, of course you can do that. Since the beginning of the creation of mankind, and as a matter of fact, all the animals do that constantly. You can see things what you think is space, through space, but there's no space. It's just within yourself. So you're connecting to the point within yourself that carries that type of information, and you focus on it, and then you sense it. And if you're good at it, you're going to be, even being able to read a paper. Some people cannot read necessarily a paper, but they can detect other things.
Wow. So this ability, so we had a remote viewer. We've an Irish chap over here, And Chris, well, we have two chat rooms, and Chris on the chat room, we'll just ask him, just remind me the remote viewer's name over here, the Irish chap. I think his name is Paul, but Chris, if you're listening, can you give me the chap's name? But he was on our show, we did an interview with him, and he said, some people say, well, I have a psychic ability. He said he doesn't really want people who have psychic abilities, because it's not so much about a psychic ability as such when you're doing this. Is that right?
Yes, it's right and it's not right. It's right because the techniques, especially that are used in the United States, are different from what a so-called psychic would use. But the deep art of connecting to your thoughts, and then as you go deeper to connect to the collective, because that's all it is, you're connecting to the collective, and then you focus from your point of consciousness to somebody else's point of consciousness, and then you become them, at least for a while, or you are able to distinguish what's happening in a different remote location or a different person, person's thoughts. This is it's just a question of nomenclatures, and I'm not going to go into the politics of remote viewing or the politics of anything else. You can call it by any name you want. It's still the art of sensing things at a distance.
Okay.
I like remote sensing better than remote viewing, because it's not really a viewing; it's more like sensing.
Okay. Paul O'Connor is the Irish chap, and he was trained by a lady called Lynn Buchanan.
I know Lynn.
You know Lynn, okay. And with your training, obviously you worked for the intelligence services, yeah?
No, I was hired as a team. There were 3 intelligence services. I was hired as a team to train operatives. Okay. We're not doing so much remote viewing as training operatives to be very, very acute in their day-to-day operation and be able to avoid situations. Let's say there would be a situation that was set up in advance where they would be in danger, or a situation whereby something was about to happen to them as they were evolving in a planned, prepared situation. They wouldn't know about it, but we made them sensitive enough so that they knew it. You call it 6th sense, 7th sense, whatever you want, but they increased that by 1,000-fold. So that was just to give them the ability to survive and overcome, and then eventually we told them how to change the reality.
Okay, so I'm just trying to see the difference there. You have to sense it rather than see it. So would people will have different abilities, and do you work out what abilities they have and then get them to hone that ability? Because when you're dealing with the spiritual stuff and the psychic stuff, they talk about the 4 clairs. Some people are clairvoyant, some people are clairaudient, some people are clairsentient. So when you go and start to train somebody,
yeah, right. It's using all your senses of one sense, or that's all it is, right?
Yeah. Okay. So you're picking up on everything. Wow. Okay. And the intelligence services who hired you, can you say who you are?
I'm sorry?
The intelligence services that hired you, can you say who they were? No, it's in the 1980s anyway. I'm not going to say who it was. It was a group of three intel operations. Okay. Put together. I was just hired by them, and I was working with them for a while. Okay. I did some real remote viewing during the period post 9/11, and that was pro bono. And as a matter of fact, it got me into very deep trouble with some Eastern government because they realized we were too good, and one of my operatives was terminated. And at that point, I decided I was done with it. I'm not doing this. So, have you been asked to? Personally, I know you said you did the training, but have you been approached personally at any time in your career to actually go in and do some remote viewing from a covert point of view?
Of course.
Okay, and that's American government stuff?
There was American government and there was Eastern European country. I'll let you imagine who it was. But the Americans were way over it. So then it became a national situation, and I'm just like,
okay, so
somebody paid the price for that.
okay, and can you, when you're viewing, is it something that you do kind of on a here and now timeline that you can, that's how you do it, or can you go back? Is it very linear that you just kind of deal with the here and now? Yeah.
You notice that when I opened the website, everybody was teaching remote viewing. I just thought it was right after the CIA, so to speak, declassified the remote viewing programs here. So in 1997, we were six websites teaching remote viewing worldwide.
Okay.
And I came in, but I immediately called it probablefuture.com because my interest was not into having, somebody spying on their neighbors. They can do a much better job putting a little camera and just like, let's hook it up there and look at what's going on inside. Nobody needs to spy on each other. That was not my purpose. My purpose was to connect people to their inner self and to allow them to function in a much wider and more complete fashion in life, to give them powers that would help them, literally help them in life, making choices. So I immediately took on, you could call this a quantum physics approach or a spiritual approach, but it's the same thing. That's where my direction of our website was from the beginning. Other people just stick to teaching remote viewing, and that's absolutely fine,
Okay. So
I tried to get away from the dark black operations because that was not my interest at that point anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. So do you feel that people have some latent abilities in themselves that we just haven't tapped into?
Have you ever had a dog, a shepherd, or?
Well, I've had pets, yeah.
When you become like your dog, you have it.
Right. Okay.
They all have it. If you see animals, they know when you're about to come home a half an hour before you come home. How do they know that? It's not because of a sense of smell. That's an illusion.
Okay.
Even though they have a great sense of smell, they can use that too.
But
they project their minds outside you. We are all pure consciousness.
Yeah.
The body is an illusionary car. It's an illusionary vehicle that we carry here. We need to carry here in order to have experiences, and it has its own senses. But the consciousness is not bound to the body, and that's you can experience that at night when you sleep, and you can have out of body experiences. You can have remote viewing experiences. At one point or another, you'll have one or two experiences. You can have a near-death experience, what people think is near-death anyway. And at that point, they're going to realize, wow, I'm much more than my body. I can be aware without having a body for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of question this whole idea that Hollywood talk about, the X-Men and all these Marvel movies and DC movies that are coming out with these people latent abilities being, activated in their teenage years. And it's as if they're trying to tell us something that we are fundamentally changing, maybe as a race. Maybe we have this, there's talk about this dormant DNA, the 12 strands of DNA, that we only have 3 or 4 activated, and if we had the 12 activated, we'd be like the X-Men, having the, certain, abilities. Is that something that you think might be happening somewhere? Because I know, if you go on YouTube now, I don't know whether it's CGI, but there are things on YouTube and people taking footage of people doing things, and you think, that's very strange. Where, how?
Okay. You know what? All the movies that they make are reflections of the consciousness of the culture that produces them, because otherwise nobody will be watching them, right? This desire for superpowers is a reflection of a great sense of insecurity in mankind. So before they used to make Marvel comics that the children we used to buy, and before you know it, the adults are now watching this because they want to become all X. By the way, I'm not an X-Man, I'm an XY man. At least genetically.
An XY man. Okay.
I haven't met an X-Man yet, but hey,
Okay.
So they're all reflecting this. You notice starting in the year 2000, there were tons of movies about vampires and people sucking each other's blood, and how and a lot of movies showing what in the old times you saw the underworld, and then violence became adulated.
Yeah.
Even in this after the Second World War, people that really seen through violence because most people were fighting it or were suffering from it, so they've seen horrors and butchery. The movies that were made after that were not showing it openly because they didn't want people's consciousness to see this and be changed by that. Because the moment you see something, especially on the screen, now everybody's watching TV all day long, your mind, your conscious mind has no idea that this is not real because you get into an altered state. Call it an alpha state or a theta state. And for your mind, there is no separation between the subconscious and the conscious. It's part of your mind. And the subconscious absorbs anything as being you. So it affects you as if you'd gone through that war, as if you're watching this. And then you wonder how come people are taking machine guns and starting to shoot out, anything like nightclubs or worshipping guns and so forth. It's because of what they're being programmed. It's literally a program. It's a mind control program, but it's a collective mind control program. And people don't understand the power of the mind, the power of they have to separate themselves from the collective if they so desire by entering their subconscious and cleaning it, basically flushing a part of it, or the power that the collective has to influence them, and then they lose control over their own thoughts and they become basically robots or drones.
The thing that you just said earlier on about the dog sensing, it's funny you should say that because my neighbour says to me, she has a dog. I'm more of a dog lover than a cat lover, I have to say, even though I have a cat. And my neighbour says she says to me, he knew you were coming when you left your house. Because I'd walk down to my neighbour, we'd have a cup of tea and a chat. And she would say to me on a regular basis, he knew you were coming, and it's just amazing that,
It's amazing because we think it's amazing. For the animals, it's natural because they operate at the level of their souls. Look, they did a study. It started in the United States with somebody called Benjamin Libet, in 1977. And then what they were studying is, they were studying the brain. So they were hooking people to, at that point in 77, they were hooking them up to electroencephalographic machines and so forth. Now they're doing this with functional MRIs. So they can look at, or PET scans. They can look inside the brain at what's happening. They put you, let's say, in a PET scan machine. And it was done, I think BBC had a show on this. But the guy goes inside a PET scan and he's given two hand control buttons, one on the right hand, one on the left hand. And then he has to decide at some point, they say, okay, you can go, and then he decides suddenly that he wants to push the right button. And then he decides he wants to push the left button, and tell him do it again and do it again. And he does this for half an hour. Then they show him the tracing. They're able to read inside your brain literally 6 seconds before the guy was going to do, because there's a different tracing for the right and different tracing for the left.
Yeah.
It's like basically a basic stuff. Your brain 6 seconds before you do the decision, the volition of moving your right hand, pushing the right button or pushing the left button, the brain is going to show in a three-dimensional view which one it is going to be. So who made the decision? Because if you hadn't made the decision consciously, how come your brain is already showing it 6 minutes before? It's because at the level of your brain, you're connecting, your brain itself is connecting to what you could call your higher self, your soul.
Okay.
And your soul is making decisions for you because it is connecting to a collective through something which we call the matrix, or you can call a supercomputer, which is pure information. It's just information transferred across all the beings in this world. So when you are making that decision, in reality, it was already made for you by your soul. Most of the decisions you make are made by your soul.
So are you saying that this is pre-programmed, predestined?
I'm saying that you're not aware. Like your dog is always operating, constantly aware of his soul. He's basically one with his soul. So his soul has much more information available to it than humans. Humans are created in the shadow of God. The animals are not. So we have a lower self and a higher self, and we are separated from our soul. Most of people don't even believe there is one unless they've experienced it. Do you understand?
I'm just trying to get my head around that. Just go through that again. Just say that again.
Yeah. We have two levels that are really one. A higher level, which is you as a point of consciousness.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, and then it's a vibratory consciousness.
Yeah.
You really are a vibrational light, like points of vibrational light with a certain hum, certain vibration, and a certain sense of reality. That's your soul.
Well, I tend to say, Gerald, that we're spiritual beings, experiencing a life in physical form.
Of course, because we are really God experiencing creation. That's it. We're the one experiencing the many.
Yeah.
So we all God. So in different formats, of course, different language, different formats. But the animals themselves, they are not created because there's less learning in the animals, but they are the higher soul.
But
for them, death has no meaning because they're there anyway. So they just let go of their biology. You can see that if you've been to Africa, you see when an animal is about to get attacked, they leave before. I mean, they're basically not there anymore.
Yeah, but I have heard this. Well, I read it in a book. It was called Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls by Philip Newton, and he said that the whole reincarnation process. And he was talking about a chap he did regression on who taps into the superconscious. And he said that him and his girlfriend or his wife were driving on a country cliff, and something happened where the car went over the cliff, and it was inevitable that they were going to go in the water and die. So they said their souls left their body, left the physical body before, so you wouldn't feel anything.
Yeah, I had this experience too. Yeah, I was many years ago. I was in Turkey driving with my wife. At that point, we were not married yet, but we were driving on a very dangerous road between Bursa and Izmir. And they warned us, don't drive at night. Only trucks drive there. So we were, being who I am, I just took the car anyway. And then at one point we were going up a hill. There was a precipice on the right side, a big mountain on the left. It was a two lane street, and there were two trucks going down one way, and suddenly a bus overtakes them. He was about to hit the car. I mean, we were like right there. So I stopped the car, and then I found myself out of the car. I was looking at it from the top. I would have never felt the impact. And suddenly it was the most beautiful feeling I ever had in my life. I remember my whole life went through me, but not linearly. See, I didn't see my life going through in a linear fashion.
Yeah.
It was all at once. It's like if you're part of a computer and your whole memory is there. And I remembered every single word, the smell, everything was back since the moment I opened my eyes as a baby. So, and then I found myself back into the biology, and I couldn't speak for a while. And when I finally could speak, I turned to my ex and I said, listen, now she's my ex. So you know my story.
Yeah.
So I turned to her and I said, you wouldn't believe what happened to me. And she said, well, you wouldn't believe what happened to me. And she had the same experience on her end. So usually, very often the soul leaves, you find this in hospitals. They don't understand that. The soul is hovering for the last days, and if you connect to them, they even tell you, they say, I'm just watching it, I'm ready to go. It's a transition. It's nothing. You don't die. You just take off your virtual reality glasses. You don't feel your biology, and then you're back home.
Well,
home is not here.
It's again,
home is there.
Yeah, exactly. We're on holiday at the moment.
Right. It's version. People want to reincarnate here. This is where you're being tested. This is the school.
Now,
home is where you come from.
And we did talk about this when we chatted. We talked about this this program or this school that we're in or this experiment we're in. And a lot of people are beginning to open up and talk about the quantum side of things and whether we are in a kind of a joint advanced experiment in this matrix. And of course the question has to be, who designed it and who's running it?
The creator.
Okay.
It's a three-level matrix. It's a three-level matrix. There is a first simulation of reality, and then there is a second level simulation of reality, and then even the reality that's being simulated is not a real reality. So you say it's 3 levels.
Okay. Do you want to go through the 3 levels?
Yeah, you have the original godliness that's operating no shadows.
Yeah.
You know, then you have the creation of the shadow, which means the creation of Adam. You know, Adam is creating the shadow of God. So the shadow is created, and then you have a level below where that shadow itself creates another simulation below, which we are going to call if you want, the underworld or the lower world. Okay, so those. In the old Bible, it's called wine. You know, when Jesus takes water and turns it into wine.
Yeah.
He's not taking water and turning. Water is consciousness. He takes water, since he's a creator, he turns it into a creation of 2 levels. If you look at the cross, you have 2 levels. You have the top, you have the middle where the arms are. You extend your arms sideways, you look like a cross. And then you're all the way on the bottom. These are the 3 levels. You understand?
Yeah, well, it's something that
the level of polarity is the second level. That's where polarity starts operating. Right hand, left hand. Strongly. The level of control of this is on the first level, on the top. The middle level is important. The lower level is the lower level.
So where does the physical body come in with the higher self?
The physical body is a vehicle. We made in the image, so our biology is a representation of the way by which this type of creation is operating. We are manifesting in the way by which our body exists. How many phalanges we have in our fingers, how many fingers we have, the right side, the left side, the energy components and the codes, if you want, of this creation. It's us. We're all on the cross. We are the cross.
Okay, and there's a lot of people talk about getting downloads from the higher self. I know there's a quote that apparently Tesla said that he wasn't a genius, he just was able to download information from, you know, the universe or universal energy. Is that something that you've come across?
Oh, yeah, a lot.
And how do you do that?
I'm sorry?
How do you do that?
You don't do that, it's given to you.
Okay.
Well, I can do it consciously too now. I can just lay down and then decide to connect, and I become what I call a UFO. I start vibrating higher until I stop at where I need to be, and then I get the connection there. Okay,
and is this down to meditation, or how would you... I do understand the principle of the energy vibration and raising your energy and your vibration.
Correct.
But obviously I'm not, you know, like I would meditate, but you know, do you have to physically focus on that in meditation that you're seeing an energy rise up? And is this part of the training that you do, is to teach people to be able to do this?
Yeah, it's part of the training on our website. Can I give the name of the website, by the way?
Yeah, well, at the end of the show, we're going to get all your contact information.
All right.
And we're going to let people know exactly where to find you.
That is the core of the training. The core of the training, it's called the portal. It's for people to be able to attain that portal. Once you're in front of the portal, we're not going to tell you to get in. You're going to have to push. The door is open, but you're going to have to go through yourself. And you have to have the intent. It takes 2 to tango, because what you're going to meet is yourself. You're not going to meet God as somebody else. You're going to meet yourself. You're going to understand that it's you.
Okay, could I I'm just kind of guessing with this, but what you teach people, would it be what somebody would experience if they did an ayahuasca trip?
I've never taken ayahuasca.
No, I know you haven't. I know, but you hear people, where they take the ayahuasca and they go off on another timeline or plane, and they could, I don't know, meet different people or see different things.
Yes and no. I'm giving them something that they are born with. When you're a baby, you're given everything you need to heal, to connect. You have it. As a matter of fact, most babies in the first, days, let's say, first week, are totally connected to the source. If they look at you, you can tell they're barely recognizing. They're still in the higher connection. Slowly, the world, with years especially, tends to see. There's a separation between their inner world and the outer world. At first, everything is, the outer world is their inner world, the inner world is the outer world. They don't recognize the difference. So it's the ability to take the veils away from thinking that the outer world, we live in one universe, but you have your own bubble reality. Everything you see around you is you.
Well, we did talk about this, didn't we? Talk about the Truman Show, and you said this, that everything is you. It's you in the Truman Show, but it's each of us. Yeah?
Yeah, because the other, when you're not talking to me, you see your reality. We're just communicating through perceptually electromagnetic radiations in the planet. But you have your own reality, and so that's still. Everybody's got their own universe they carry with them. That's why they say when you kill somebody, you kill a universe. It's true. But all those universes are connected through what we call the matrix. I like to call it the God, the divine supercomputer. So they're all connected so that time makes sense, and then there is an idea of connecting reality, and then the evolution and the sequence of timing makes sense. Otherwise, we would go crazy. So we are all here. But why are we here? People are never asking why is this all about?
Yeah.
I mean, why is this all about? We're all here because there's only one real consciousness. One, not two, three, four, five. There's one. Wanted to experience the illusion of the many. And he created this incredible godly machine that he's allowed to operate here and in other places. And then when he goes in, he can become anything he or it, call it it at that point because there is no gender. It decides to experience.
So do you not think, I mean, some people have said that this program, we've mentioned it on the show before. If you remember, there was a computer program called Sim City, and you set up your own community where everything banks and everything else, right? And some people have said, well, are we not in some form of advanced alien Sim City? And we're just an experiment, but it's not so much the creator, but it's an advanced ET experiment.
Well, I don't know about the ETs because that's a big word, because we are all aliens here. We're not who we think we are, so we're basically aliens. Everybody's an alien.
Yeah.
The Earth is a planet of operations. It's not a planet like a sphere. But we're supposed to do our homework here on this sphere to show that. See, it's the role of the one to go back into the perception of the many as much as it can. And it's trying to do it so that it becomes a better creator, a more caring creator. Because at the level of the one, there is no pain, there's no suffering, it doesn't pay bills, it doesn't have to worry about his children's education, about the pollution of the world, and so on and so forth, and fight anybody. So it's coming into the perception of the many, and then it's faced with it, and then it says, well, I got to fix this. Okay, so the one is trying to fix his own extensions, if you want, his own mirrors, because the old facets mirroring each other. Everybody's mirroring each other.
Yeah. And
then we, at our level here, since we're looking from the many onto the possible unity, if for the ones that believe that we have to go back to unity, like you said, community, and then community extended communities and so forth, but in an operative way, not in a way by which you exploit each other. So if we are able to achieve this, we have to bring a sense of oneness at our level, with our senses, with our families, with our taxes, with whatever system we have. And then if the system doesn't work, we have the choice and we have the responsibility of changing it. We can't wait for God to intervene and come down on a UFO on wings and saying, okay, children, this is not going to happen.
No. Well,
not in this creation. There's a reason for that.
We're going to get into talking about that. We have 2 chat rooms, and we have a good few questions come in. But before we get to the questions, the question has to be asked: if the baby in the first week is still connected to source, which I totally agree with you. How many times have we seen kids seeing things? They're just a week away from being with source, so obviously they can see things that we can't see. But then the medical profession, and let's call them the global elites, want us to pump the baby full of vaccines and metals and everything else. So they obviously know what's going on. What's your take on the whole vaccine and why they're doing this?
Okay, I'm sure there are some vaccines that could be done without genetic engineering and without putting toxic metals in them. Okay, so there is something dark in this whole organization, which is I don't know why they're doing it. It's just because it's for profit. They want to dumb down the population. They want to take away the baby's ability to develop to the fullest. There's a lot of forces that are afraid of death, and the scaffolding of our creation is what some people have lately called the matrix, but I like to call the supercomputer. That scaffolding itself is afraid of disappearing because it has disappeared many times before. Because the one would just take the whole scaffolding off and then take all the entities back to itself. So it's afraid of losing, like the machine world, if you want, is afraid of losing itself. So it tries to disconnect the entities who are really God in drags. We are all God in drags here. We forgot. We're only here for a little while. And if you have experiences like you said that person had, or I had, or after that had many more, you know who you are. The question is, how many people know who they are, not what they've become, but who they really are behind the scene? Very few. There's something for you to do. You have to do that experience. It's given to you if you want it.
Well,
it's not a religious, it has nothing to do with religion. Nothing.
Well, it's one of the things why we do the radio show, to wake people up, to get them to realize who they really are from a spiritual point of view and from where they're coming from and why we're here on the whole educational side. And as you said, there's loads of people still in the matrix that just don't get it.
They don't get it, and they're not even trying because they don't see the advantage. Because the matrix is like an accounting system. You say asset, liabilities. They're going to ask you, okay, what is it for me? Okay, so I realize I'm God. Can I fly? Can I levitate the Eiffel Tower to impress my friends? Can I build pyramids in my background? In my garden? I mean, they're going to ask you what power is this going to give me? Yeah. And the moment they ask that, they're taking themselves away from the connection, because the connection is not about power. It's about quality. It's about reintegrating source. Because when you are there, you only want to create a better environment around you, not just necessarily have powers for the sake of power.
That's it. Well,
it's a different system. It's a system based on quality, not on quantity.
Yeah, and also
you remember you said Black Friday. Why do they call it Black Friday? Why not White Friday?
Yeah.
What's black about it?
Yeah.
Why are people attracted to the idea of saying Black Friday? Oh, let's go and fight. Rush everybody over.
Yeah. Well,
okay, I buy another piece of junk.
Exactly. The learning process is all about, as far as we're concerned, is service to others. It's not service to self. And we talk about.
But when you do service to others, you're really servicing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they you.
Yeah, because the energy and it's not done in an egotistical, selfish way. When you when you use humility and you do it with the right intent, and intent for me, and we've talked about this, is everything. If you're doing it with the right intent to help somebody, that energy that's produced from doing that has to have some kind of positive effect on you.
Yes. We teach, if you go on our website, it's for free. There is an ebook, okay, about the secrets of remote influencing. If you read it, just reading it, It says, if you smile at the world will smile back at you. You smile at your source, the source will smile back at you, because that's a level of connection by consciousness. If you disregard the world, or disregard a group of people, whomever it is, doesn't matter. If males disregard females, females disregard males, they think they can operate. It comes back. Everything gets mirrored back to you.
Yeah.
So it's not a question of what's the right thing to do. What did God write on some stone tablets thousands of years ago, perceptually or whatever? That's irrelevant. It's what's in your heart. You're only going to project outside who you are right now. If you are loving, love will come back to you. If you are in fear and then you want to separate from the rest, then fear will hit you back and you're going to get attacked.
I call this, Gerald, I call it the energy boomerang, right? The energy you put out, what you put out comes back. So, you know, I mean, some people might call it karma, but what I say is, if it's the law of attraction. If you're putting out negative energy, it has to come back to you. You know, that's what you're doing. You're putting out negative energy, it has to come back like a boomerang. So if you're putting out good energy, that will also come back. So it's our intent and how we do it, and we have to do it in the right way. What I'm going to do is,
can I just say one more thing? There's words are important, because I don't like the way they call it the law of attraction, because attraction means there is an opposite, which is repulsion.
Okay.
Repulse, you know, it's like opposites, and then it's like the devil is always shown with horns, and it's a code. It's when the polarities, male, female, nature, man, the right in politics with the left, your grouping against another grouping, my religion against another religion, and so on.
Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer game.
They're all back to back.
Yeah.
They're not looking at each other. They think that the other one is like a shadow that has to be destroyed. You know, they're like vermin that has to be taken away. And then that's the problem. That's really the law of opposition. What it should be called is not the law of attraction or the law of repulsion. It's the law of mirroring. You're mirroring everything. Everything mirrors back. So if you in your heart accept the other one, whomever it is, you know, if it's a dog, a cat, or a fish in the ocean, or an elephant in the jungle, as being a reflection of you, of the same source, because it's the same soul, manifesting in a different way with a different DNA code. If you understand that it's you, and it's magnificent, and you accept it, and you feel love towards it, you're gonna I've walked in the middle of the jungle many times, not once, in front of lions, wild lions. I've played with tigers, 500 pounds. They never met me. They come to me, because if you have no fear, and you love them, they will reflect that back automatically. If you ever had I used to train shepherds, you know, for attack dogs. I used to go in dogs that never met me. I would go into their pen outside. There were 5, 6 dogs that were trained to kill. I would jump the pen, put my hands out, and they all come and lick me. Why? Because it's not only because I love them, because it was purely who I am. I was like loving towards them. They felt it and they reflected immediately that back. And there are some SEAL, I can introduce you to some SEAL. One guy wrote a book here. He said he was in Iraq, and as he knew in advance there would be an IED. He would change the situation by projecting love. You know, you would never imagine a SEAL would think like that. But he understood the principle.
Yeah.
So you would know, he was trained like I trained those people. So he was trained to know that there would be an IED, even though his intel was not confirming it. He knew it. And he would change the situation. Then they found out that there was an IED. He wrote a whole book about this. It's called The Intuitive Warrior. So everything is a reflection. And when you put barriers, and then you're afraid of the other, whatever the other is, well, then the other is going to come back and mirror this back at you. So the law is the law of mirroring.
Okay, that's definitely interesting. Well, we have to be aware of that. I'm going to pass you over to Steve. We have questions that have come in from our chat room from our listeners, and Steve's going to run through them.
Okay, we'll kick off with just in relation to the downloads. When we spoke of the downloads, Dougie said earlier, he said downloads happen automatically when you reach a certain frequency. Downloads can happen without meditating. As an example, he says, on a bus, places with high energy will make you receive more downloads. Now, that's kind of interesting because we did discuss this before, Gerald, in relation to, you know, the downloads that we allegedly get. And I mean, some people, like, I don't meditate. I know Alan does meditate, I don't. But I mean, for someone who doesn't meditate, when will I receive the downloads, and how will I know I've received these downloads? Will it be, would it happen, say, as Dougie says, on a bus, or would it happen when I'm asleep, or how would I know? Like, I mean, you know, like if you have a PC, after your PC has downloaded updates, it kind of says you've downloaded updates. How do we know?
Okay, first of all, most downloads happen when you're sleeping. You're not even aware of it. Because every night as you're sleeping, your body continues, your biology of your body is functioning. It has to be, it's vibrated on a lower level, but it's kept vibrating so you can get up in the morning, but your soul lives. So at that point, they input downloads. They have to do with your next day, all the probable futures. The matrix is giving you all the paths that you can enter, because at some point you make choices on your lower level. It's not only your higher self. You're going to make certain choices. And then there are downloads of information if you're ready for it. Your higher self is always trying to help you. Yeah. So it's because you are it in the game here, in the game of creation. So it wants you to advance. So you get downloads. You do not need an altered state of consciousness to get download. You can be in the middle of a bus, and then you get a download. How are you going to know if it's a download? Because within your awareness, your level of awareness, you're going to realize that the type of information you're getting is something outside of the box. It's something that you never thought of before, and you're totally aware of it. And then you start, it could be, you know, you could have done an ayahuasca thing that have downloads. You can just be in the bus. It's irrelevant. You know you're getting a download.
Yeah. No, well, I've never actually experienced the ayahuasca, but I do know a chap who his wife actually experienced the ayahuasca, and he said to me that when she was having her experience, he said that she had questions that needed to be answered, and she was hoping that when she had her experience that the questions that she had would be answered. But I think from what I can remember, he said that her experience wasn't all very pleasurable. And he did say that the experience that she had the experience that she had was not the one she wanted, but it was the one that she needed. So I'm guessing
she needed it.
Yeah.
Yes, she needed that. Yes. Because our higher self was really taking control of the experience. Now, of course, you're going to throw up, which I really don't like. And then you're going to have you never get the experience that you want. You never get the reality that you want. You really get the reality that you need. We're here in a school to learn about love because we have forgotten about this. We're in a school to learn about the unity of all things. We have forgotten this. This is the only reason we're here. Our higher self is only going to succeed in going back up to the source, because even at that level, it's not yet climbing back up in the presence of the core of the source, and it wants that. If you succeed here in showing love, in other words, you're doing the work for your soul, because when you come back, you reincarnate into your soul, then you project into another situation. You reincarnate into your soul, and your soul tries to go back to its own core and become the godliness again. That's the trip. So you're going to get downloads. You know the best way you're going to get downloads. You remember when I said that the whole world that you see around you, and that's proven in physics now. There's a guy who wrote biocentrism. There are many late, as of late, the physicists and astrophysicists are saying reality is just not only a hologram. Everything outside of you is really happening inside your mind. It's not an illusion. It's reality, but it's inside your mind, as far as you can perceive it. So the universe, call it the universe because we're only aware of that portion of the universe, it will talk to you. You might have the answer in the book. You might have the answer from a hobo in the street who's going to give you the answer. That's a meditation too.
Okay.
Because you're asking the question.
Yeah.
That's where you focus at. And that hobo is going to be connected to you because he's you, but he is a projection of your higher self. And he's sending you a message. How many times have you had somebody sending a weird message to you and you go, what is he trying to say? You know, and you realize that he's giving you an answer to something that has puzzled you for a while.
Yeah, and
so
actually,
you wonder.
We just had a comment in there from Steve on the People's Internet Radio, and I mean, this is obviously connected as well. He said 25 years ago he had 3 occurrences when he was just about to call somebody and he picked up the phone line and they were on the other end. And Alan said it's as well, like sometimes you may be in a vehicle with a person and you're just about to ask them to roll down the window or whatever, and they do it. I mean, I'm guessing that's obviously part of the whole consciousness thing where we obviously are all interconnected.
Yeah, I give you an easy proof that we're all interconnected. You want that?
Yeah.
Anybody can prove it. And you probably have done that many times. You remember when you used to go to school and you sit behind some people and then you would yawn. Happens. We're tired, right?
Yeah.
It's been a long day. We yawn. You'll see the whole class, including the people in front of you that don't even see you, starting to yawn at the same time. Why?
Maybe the teacher is boring. Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, the people who don't see.
So
yeah.
What is it? It's a telepathic yawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's your environment. You just gave that vibration. By the way, the vibration of the yawn is something that we use in our, it's one of the best way of connection. There's something about the yawn. You vibrate your ears and then there's a way of yawning without yawning and then you start vibrating on the inside. That's part of our course. But I'm serious. Ask any scientist who doesn't believe in thought connection. Why would anybody yawn in front of you because you're yawning? You're like at the end of the class, and then you're starting to yawn and start to yawn.
Why is it you're talking about yawning now, and I just feel the urge to yawn, and I'm trying to suppress it? Why is that?
The movement of your mouth. Your mouth is a creative element. That's the beginning of creation is sound. Sound translates into light on a different level that we don't see. That's not the light we see. This is the light that's being emitted, and those particles of light have a sound to them too. So everything is sound and light. There is nothing else. This whole reality that you see is sound and light. And our mouth is extremely powerful with the tongue in between. So when you're young, if you realize you're gonna hear vibration inside your skull while you're yawning, and you can yawn and start adding sounds to it, and then those sounds are gonna start vibrating inside your head.
Gerald, I think you're making Steve yawn here.
I couldn't hold it any longer.
You're programming him to yawn. Can you program
weird.
me not to cough? That's what I need. Now, we've come across this before. People go to, they're thinking of somebody, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and it's that person. They're in a car, and they're just about to ask them to pull down the window, up the window, or knock off the radio, and they do it.
Right, they call you right, and you're about to call them. They go, "Oh, I was just going to call you."
Exactly. We all have a kind of this innate ability, the sixth sense, and some people have it more tuned and honed than others. I think women are more intuitive than men.
Yeah, on purpose. They need to be.
Yeah, they need to be from a child point of view. How many times have you heard the mother saving the child because something's going to happen, but you just had a feeling that something. But also, here's the other thing.
That's the role of the wife, by the way.
Yeah.
The role of when Adam has his wife, Adam is not a human being. He's God. In drags, he's the shadow of God, but he's God.
Yeah.
He's the shadowy part of God that he's not watching so much, but he's God. And when he realizes that he needs someone to help him, he takes a part of himself, puts it in front, and she connects to his higher self, which is God, and she's going to give him advice from his higher self. He needs the advice, and she challenges him too. So the role of the wife, of the feminine, if you want, is to connect to your soul, because the male is like on the ground, working the ground and working the matrix. the female is naturally connected to the soul, and if she loves you, she'll connect to your soul and give you information about your soul. That's why so many women, when they're connected to you very closely, are able to download information for you.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. Steve, you got more questions there?
We do have a lot of questions, actually. This one came in earlier on from Super Big Bad Man on People's Internet Radio. And you spoke earlier, Gerald, about the Creator. And he's wondering, is the Creator God, or is it an alien presence?
There is no alien anywhere. Nothing can be alien because there's only one God and one Creator everywhere. It's one mind, as far as you want to go. It's not infinite because it's impossible to perceive thought as being infinite. It has infinite possibilities of creations, but infinity doesn't exist at the level of the Creator. Neither does the beginning of a Creator or the end of a Creator. There could be the beginning of a creation and the end of a creation. That happens all the time, but not the Creator. So the idea of aliens within God is ridiculous. It's all a manifestation of God, what you call aliens. And it's all a perception to you, what an alien. There was a time when, being a white man in coming to America was considered to be an alien. I've never seen that, and they thought they were aliens. So it's all what you perceive, how far your mind can stretch.
Okay, but what about people though who have had experiences? I'm not saying Jordan ayahuasca. I mean just a regular person who would wake up, and I mean I know a chap who did. He woke up during the night. He wasn't dreaming. He was wide awake, and there was a presence in his room, and it looked like, if my memory serves me, what we see on TV as portrayed as the Greys, the Grey type aliens.
Right.
What would that be?
Okay, this is a very complex subject because there is a world that's a very manifested world, which is your world, okay, in which you feel everything is concrete.
Yeah.
And since you mentioned that you have two bars left in your city, which is interesting for Ireland because, God almighty, there will be no pubs left, what would you do? So I'm asking you, if you drink a lot, what happens to your visual reality and stabilization of visual reality? It starts spiraling, right?
Yeah.
Well, in reality, the world is really spiraling. You have like a gyroscope inside of you that keeps stabilizing everything, so you think it's not. Matter of fact, we know that the Earth is turning, so nobody seems to be like walking, falling down all the time. So the perception of reality is not exactly what you think it is. So if you see entities entering, it could be for a million reasons. You may have entered a group consciousness, like a morphic group, if you want. Okay, like it's funny they call it a morphic reality. Like it morphs, like in the movie Matrix, they call it Morpheus also, so the god of sleep. So you enter a certain reality when those beings exist. It could be an astral reality, and since you energize it, or a group of people are energizing, they become real. You follow me?
Yeah.
It could be your future, because there's something that I just wrote an article right now. There's going to be eventually, not so far from now, I don't know when, nobody knows, a point where all our future, there is no future. There are experiences. There are realities that are experienced in the branches of a tree is a core of a creation. The branches are branches in creation that experience different time zones. So you could have a time zone right now experience in the year 20,300 or on a different so-called planet and so forth. It's still you. You understand? It could be experienced on a very physical level, like we have here, a very dense level. It could be experienced on a less denser level with more telepathy, and when you can morph in reality, like they say, you shapeshift and then you have different technologies, so to speak, and so on and so forth. Or they can have what they call as vehicles that have consciousness. They control them with their consciousness.
Are you saying that? Sorry, I was just going to say, are you saying that, again, something that I mentioned earlier on the show about our lives being pre-programmed and predestined?
Yeah. Okay, this is very important what you asked now. Yeah, our lives are being predestined. The matrix, the lattice, I call this the lattice, the supercomputer is predestined. But there are different paths. And there are points where you make choices between those paths. The path are predestined. It's like a video game. You can take millions or thousands of paths. Which one you're going to travel, though, is your choice.
Well, here's the thing. I have an argument for this. We also talk about this on the show, and we talk about, because people always say, what's my path in life? And our answer, after doing a bit of kind of research into this, is you know when you're on the right path because the energy will be behind you. You know, when people say, every time I do something, it doesn't work out. Well, our answer to them is, that's because you're on the wrong path. You're not supposed to be doing that. When you're on the right path, the energy will be behind you. But the problem is, so we have all these, so imagine all these timelines side by side, right? And we have this thing called free will. And every time we make a free will choice, we change the timeline. But on these timelines are little markers of things that we have to experience in that life. Alright? But the problem is that the elites, if you want to call them the elites or the cabal, they are now controlling so much of, free will is gone. Because there's a lot of things that we can't do. So when people say we have free will, yeah, we have free will to decide, do we buy a pint of milk, or do we buy a Pepsi, or do we buy, a loaf of bread. But when it comes to other things, they're restricting our free will. So as far as we're concerned,
but I disagree with the fact that most people like to be sheep. They're looking for a shepherd,
a leader. They need a leader. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
that's the saddest thing about humanity. And when they're looking for a leader, is usually of one reason, because they have fear in their hearts. And when they fear of their hearts, they're gonna get the wrong type of leaders. A leader that will increase the fear so that he can control even more of their lives and more of them. And then he will suck their energy out, and before you know it, they become drones and they can't think anymore. Yeah. This is like a repeated story in mankind. So they can choose not to accept the group story, fear stories. Because it is rejected. Not to say they can change from fear and go into love. They can say, I don't accept to be afraid and fight those imaginary aliens or whatever, or I'm just into love. And then the whole situation is going to mirror back a different situation. You're going to take a different path on the matrix. So, but if you accept to take on a certain collective that follows a certain group, it's already prepared. It's going to show you situations, and that's the reason mankind keeps on repeating history in a different format. Now it's more technological format, In the old times, there were dragons, and there were dragons. They existed. They manifested. Now the same entities are showing themselves in very advanced, technologies, because we wouldn't follow dragons. It wouldn't be interesting.
Yeah. Well, time has moved on, but they're still in the vision, or the way they want to show themselves to us. We've more questions, and we're just watching the time as well. So, Steve, if you want to go through the questions there.
Okay, and we still do have a few from earlier on, but I'm going to go for the last one first. Again, from Super Big Bad Man on PIR chat room. He said he's just wondering, Gerald, who or what do you believe created the humans? Where do we come from?
Okay, we are created by the godliness. We are the ultimate test for the godliness, because we are the most blind people and the most separated of all the entities. Even in the so-called stories or the reality, if you're into it, of the ETs, they are telepathic. Humans are not telepathic. So this level of creative separation in this illusory air, electromagnetic world, everything needing more power and additive energy. This is brilliant, but at the same time, it's extremely dangerous. And who do you think is challenging itself? It's the one. The one mind is challenging itself in trying to allowing this level of separation, but for that level of separation not to destroy itself. It's a gigantic, so it has to go in here, inspire us to become more gentle and more united, but not in a way where which we exploit each other.
Yeah.
And not focus on the groups that are exploiting us or we think are exploiting us, because they're going to fall by the wayside anyway. This is not, this is not for us to worry. We can create different type of society. As you don't have to buy, if you think you're being influenced by your TV, don't watch it. If you think that your phone is listening to you, and it's like a chip, don't buy that Apple or whatever. If you think Facebook is dangerous, don't watch Facebook. I mean, there are choices we can make.
Now, I will say, when you talked about, we have to find our way back to source. That's the whole idea. And,
Exactly.
Intent and energy and everything else. Now, some people who might see source, they might give it another name, and maybe they call it AI, and that we have to fight the AI. And I think some people might call source AI, and the whole idea is that everybody has to wake up, find their journey back to source, get out of the matrix, and this is what's happening. The challenge is from source, or AI, if some people want to call it that, is to find their way back, and that's what we're doing at the moment. Wake people up, let them know who they really are as a human being or as an energy. And when they realize that, then we will do away with the whole idea of source trying to mirror and attack us.
Source is not trying to attack us.
Well, they're trying to use, you know the way you say, some people have an easy life and some people have a hard life, but we learn more from the hard life than we do learn more in the easy life. So not so much source wanting to attack us, but these lessons that we're given in life is all part of the source to make us learn and to grow.
You know what? Here we would need another show. This is the only creation, and that would require hours, where source got sandwiched inside its own creation and is a prisoner in its own creation. Okay, so I can't explain that now.
Okay.
So this is the ultimate test for source, this one here.
Yeah. Okay, let's go off to the questions, and we'll try and get through them for the listeners.
Okay, we do have a couple of questions. These may bring us up to the time, so anyone who asks questions after, like now, they may not get asked. Just to say. Anyway, moving on. Dougie said earlier, does Gerald think that he is using his body as a calculative machine, as the language of the omniverse is binary, therefore changing reality by changing the mathematical properties of your own human senses and the essences of life, i.e. air, water, etc.?
If I'm using my biology as a mathematical equation?
Your body.
I don't think I understand the question exactly. Yeah, I'm using my that's interesting that the question was asked like, there are a lot of powerful energy movement, like Qigong, the energy movements you can use your body to create.
Yeah.
That is correct. And you can change reality. It's not exactly the mathematics that we know as binary, or it's a different higher language, and different codes. It's more connected to your DNA. Let's put it this way. But yes, you can use your biology absolutely to affect at least reality in the way you perceive it. Yes.
Dougie actually says
you should.
He goes on. He says, do you think that you may be using your light body when remote viewing?
When I'm out, I don't even perceive my light body. I'm just consciousness. So that's an interesting. If I were to focus on the light body, I probably would see the light body. Yeah.
Okay, but your consciousness, obviously, with being just energy, obviously you can.
It's not energy. It's awareness.
Awareness. Okay.
It's just the awareness never leaves. You're still aware. That's what death is. You're still aware. You're just totally aware. You're by far more aware than when you're here, anyway.
Okay.
So awareness stays. All there is in creation is observation. It's the observer that makes reality. Without an act of observation and awareness, there is nothing. So the observation is the awareness, and God is awareness. That's all there is. If I had to describe God, I would say it's just awareness, like total awareness. It has. we have to expand our awareness. God has to restrict its awareness in order to create, because if it stays totally aware, there's nothing to create. So it has to, so to speak, become artificially intelligent, the lower intelligence.
Well, again, goes back to what we said, or what he said about the fact that we have to find our way back to source. So we start off in the matrix, and then we have to get out of that and learn through our life and get back to source.
Get as close as we can back to source. Not totally within source, because then we wouldn't be able to operate. But there are levels in between, halfway, let's say, where you can be both yourself with your awareness and then imbued with the source. So you know you're the source, but at the same time the individualities remain.
I can get that. Steve.
Okay, next question. Peter's in Australia, and he's wondering, has Gerald ever remote viewed the planet Mars, or Egypt, or the hollow Earth?
The hollow Earth. For me, everything is energy. Okay, so when I go, so to speak, below the Earth, I don't encounter different levels of geology, but more energies. It's full of energies there. As a matter of fact, one day, I don't want to say that on TV, but on radio, not on TV now. But the gravity is not what we think it is. It's just it's a living energy that attracts us around this pole of operation, so we stay here. We don't fly off. So as far as the Egyptians, there was a time when I used to be in contact with what you could call the sub-gods, the sub-creators of Egypt. They're still around, so, some of them are very gigantic thought forms. Some of them are really divine beings. I don't go into the pyramids because I understand the system. It's just everything you see in a so-called monuments is a code. But you can trying to show you something, and then if you get it, you can do it at home, you can do it in your own mind. But basically, you should do it in your own mind. So they're showing you a code with all this. The Sphinx is a code. Everything that's there is a very advanced high code, but they're trying to send a message. It's like in England, you see the crop circle. They're not about crop circles, they're codes that they're trying to send to us. So we have this opportunity to awaken. What was the third one? I'm sorry, I don't remember. What was the other question?
He's just wondering about Mars. Have you ever remote viewed Mars?
Now, Mars is the god of war. I don't want to go back to it.
Okay, we won't go there.
Right, we shall move along. Tony is wondering, please ask Gerald if he is aware of the monoatomic aspect of empowerment capacity of remote viewing. If not, he said you should look at the work of David Hudson. Incredible information.
No, I'm not aware. I'm sorry, I won't answer something. I've never. Is it David Hudson?
Hudson, yes. Hudson.
Hudson, right.
Yeah.
Okay, I will look at it. Thank you.
Okay, and Graham is wondering, have you ever heard of the phenomenon of Nadi leaf readings, where all possibilities are already manifested via the Akashic records? And he says, we just choose which path we wish. Everything is divinity in his opinion.
That's exactly correct. See, what I call the lattice of creation, the supercomputer of the godly supercomputer, the lattice. All the paths being created at once, in one shot, by the infinite mind. They're all there. Then the mind itself, that's what happens on the so-called seventh day in the old Bible, travels all those paths by itself without any humans there to see which one make sense, which one don't make any sense. The ones that don't make any sense wouldn't be workable, are rejected. And then we are left with one gigantic game, if you want. It's like a 3D or 4D or 5D, 6D. It goes up to 8D matrix, and then there is no more. So that's the level of the game that's available. That's the real Big Bang. There is no Big Bang as we think. A universe made out of stars and dust and hydrogen, and by coincidence, life creates the illusion of matter. Matter cannot create life. It's ridiculous. So this is that thing is created at once. And then it's traveled back and forth into different dimensions, different so-called timing. And then the role of the one is to separate certain levels from other levels and then position itself in the middle so that you have separations. So the one is all inside that lattice too. And then we travel. We are the traveling consciousnesses, if you want, of the one that allow him in the future to experience and to better itself in the experiencing. He can sometimes travel the same path over and over again to better the path and then better the experience. That's his choice. That's what we think is reincarnation. In reality, the only one that's reincarnating is the one.
Yeah. Now tell us something, Gerald. We have about 10 minutes left. What's happening at the moment? What's the positives happening? Because we always try and end up on a positive solution. What's going on at the moment? There's a lot of people talking about the energies hitting the planet, and people are beginning to wake up because of these. The level of consciousness is rising on the planet. The human frequency is off the chart, some people will say. And there's a lot more people waking up. I mean, we've been on the air for about nearly 8.5 years now, and we're seeing a difference in people waking up and then asking questions, which wasn't 8 years ago. It was completely different. So, do you believe that there is some kind of Christ consciousness or source consciousness happening on the planet to help wake up? Are we in this unique? I mean, some people say we're in there's 26,000 year cycle and we're just at the 13,000 year period, and there's going to be a shift or maybe a dividing of two earths, where you have the people who are selfish and they're kind of that's one earth, and then the other earth is service to others rather than service to self. And there's this, Dolores Cannon talks about this split that might take place. What's your take on all of that?
Okay, first answer, that split has already happened. It happened in 2012. Most people are not aware of it.
Okay. And is it the split got to do with?
That's the branching.
Okay.
That's everything goes back not to Rome but to the one.
Okay.
At the end, everything. So that the big split has already happened between. That's what in the old Bible they say that he dies and then his tomb is given to the evil ones, and then his tombstone is given to the rich one in spirit. It's a split. Mm. So God separates himself into two parts. One goes back to heavens, and then the other one stay here. Both are really important. Believe it or not, the most important part is the part that stays here. That continues. Because this is the most difficult one, the most challenging one.
Yeah.
So that's why we have so much now suddenly division since 2012, and then all the paranoia that's coming up, and then the killings, and then everybody wants to fight with everybody else, and then so many are engaging in it. Whether we're going to succeed in rejoining the path, I don't know. That's the big question mark. But I can tell you the one is trying desperately to bring this back because we are his children. It doesn't matter if we're off the path for a little while. Understand?
So what about the people who have raised their consciousness, who've woken up, who've done the work, who are service to others? Are they, I mean, what do you think something's going to happen on a physical level, or is it going to be a subconscious or conscious level?
No, because a lot of them have only part of their consciousness here. A great part of their consciousness is in a different area already.
Okay.
So it's not like they lost here, but they may feel lost, or they may feel that they don't recognize the world that they used to know 10, 15 years ago even. Mm. It's a different world. It's a much harsher and more difficult world. But their role is still to bring this harsh, difficult world, because it's normal when you bring a lot of light. By the definition of shadow, if the sun is not at its zenith, right on top of you, the shadow is going to get bigger too. So the opposite side gets bigger. So as you're trying to advance, those two have to be reconciled. And finally, they have to make love to each other. It's like at the end of the movie, they merge into each other. It's like at the end of the movie Matrix, Neo and his shadow, Smith, merge.
Yeah.
And that that's when the scaffolding of creation, the machine world, stops using humans just as battery for power, adding more people and making them dumb and aggressing them in the matrix, you understand? And then finally accepts them as being divine, because the one that is the most afraid of death is not humans. It's the scaffolding. It's the system. We are fighting the system. The system doesn't want to give up.
And do you believe that the girl in the red dress that's in the Matrix, I mean, they're all around us. They're the system.
I've seen girls that are not in red dress are also part of the system, I tell you that. For you too.
Well, I'm just using it as an analogy, you know.
Yeah, I know. There was given in the movie just to show you that the system works by predicting your reactions. In other words, when you think you have a choice, yes, you have a choice not to look at the girl in the red dress, but everybody is in a black and white situation, and this gorgeous girl is going to walk in front of you. Neo looks at her. So if you want the system, i.e. what we think is the devil, but it's not the devil, it's the feminine in front of you, like it's challenging you all the time, challenging her beloved with God. She's challenging God. She's saying, I know how you function. I know I operate from what I predict you're going to do, and I create situations that are going to make you do it. Now, it's your choice to take him or not, if you're aware or not. If you take him, you're going to take him. You still have free choice.
It's a very, very convoluted, complicated system, I have to say, that we're trying to get our head around, and even going through the wake-up process to take on board all the information and what's going on is, you know, I suppose it's difficult for a lot of people just to try and comprehend the system.
You don't have to comprehend the system. You have to comprehend your existence within this illusionary system. You are not the illusion. The system is the illusion. So the old thought forms, those are AI, what you call AI entities, your wall, the system, the economical system, the political system, the characters are show up. Most of them are not even sentient. They're just part of the system. They're just part of the reality projection. You have to understand how you operate. It's quite easy to change yourself from within. You can really change yourself from within. And I don't know, I would just advise people to go. I just wrote 2 articles in the last couple of days on our website, and just read them, because I think I give pretty much more than hints. I give them a way by which they can remain sane in a world that seems to have turned insane suddenly. It's like walk to an insane asylum and going, how do I solve this? You know, because
it's like a massive open air asylum, I have to say. Just one more question for you regarding this focus on the mirroring, and what about people's health? This is a big question, and we obviously deal with health quite a lot. If we have these abilities, innate abilities inside us, what do we need to do to trigger our own way of healing ourselves?
Okay, first of all, you have to have trust.
Okay.
Not in God, not in God per se. Say, oh God, go and help. In the perfection of God, which means that God created a perfect biology here, not something that's degenerate. You know, as many stories would like you to believe that there were races that came in here and they took all this and mixed this and that, and that this is like a screwed up genetics. Now we are screwing our own genetics. We really are doing it right now with genetic engineering and genetic food and all this. We are screwing our own genetics, and this potentially could carry for like millions of years if we stay around here, which is kind of doubtful. But let's say if we were to stay, that can be corrected also with either very advanced light technologies or by thought alone. But because we still have the perfected DNA is there, it can be reintegrated, brought back inside. It's not part of us because it's vibrated on a higher level. So if you have trust in your perfection, your body will take care of most of what you need to do. You need to detox, but not only detox physically, like and be going outside eating grass all day long. like a cow. That's not what I mean by detoxing only. I mean, you have to do a physical detox, but you have to do a mental. People are doing mental detox. Get off the stories for a while. Take off. Connect to nature. You know. I watch the news, and my cat is watching next to me. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't care.
Yeah. Well, it's not a case of we all have to hold hands and sing Kumbaya, but what you're saying is we need to get away from the system, basically.
Yeah, take a break. You know, out of 7 days, you take a day off. I don't care if it's Wednesday, Tuesday, or Sunday. Take a day off from the system. Just lock everything electromagnetic and all the stories that are floating everywhere, and then the end of the world stories, and then the system is going to collapse and eat you up and you disease, and try to rebalance yourself for 1 day a week, you know. If you can fast a day or two a week, even better. And then allow your biology to detox, allow yourself to be more positive and more joyful. Surround yourself with people that are joyful and positive, and there's so much information. It's coming. The one is bringing, there's a new world that's already created waiting for us, but we are not receiving it. It's like you go to a kid and you say, here, I have a beautiful, incredible toy, and he goes, no, not now, too busy.
Yeah. Well, if it's there, well, I'll tell you what we'll be doing. I think we will be doing a part 2, Gerald, because there's so much more to talk about. But we've had one more question. We're quickly going to get in quick. Okay. Steve?
Yeah, Paddy just got under the wire with this one, Gerald, and he's wondering, where do we go when we die? Or, well, actually, he said, where are you going when you die? But I suppose we can just open up and say, where are we going?
Okay, you go nowhere, first of all. It's like, imagine you're in a virtual reality outfit. You know, you put your goggles on, and then you're watching a 3D movie, sensory 3D. Soon they'll have it too here. So you're there, and then you think, oh my God, this is incredible, and oh, I'm aging, and my biology is going, and then it's over. So you take your outfit, and then you haven't moved anywhere. You just took, the story is over for this. You are always your soul. Your soul is putting a virtual reality apparatus called the Matrix, and then it's playing this game, and then it's over. So you're not going anywhere. You're still alive. You're totally aware.
Well, your physical body is dead.
Well, your physical body at that point is an illusion. It's only the other people are going to see your physical body here. The physical body has its own intelligence. It's incredibly intelligent, and its own consciousness. There is two consciousnesses that get together to create a human being. There is the so-called the higher spiritual consciousness coming down, and the lower from the earth. The earth is your mother, and the higher is your father. When the father and the mother get together, they create you. It's like two triangles that intersect, and then that's you. You're the final product of the father and the mother uniting. You're the baby.
Okay.
But you don't die.
Okay. Well,
the biology is reintegrated. The biology is reintegrated by the mother. It's not. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, listen, we've reached that time, Gerald. We have to finish there. But a big thank you for coming on. Great feedback on the chat room there. Steve will tell you he's been monitoring that. And again, I think we might have to do part 2 because there's so much in this subject that we have to cover and we haven't covered. So we can get more detailed maybe next time. But I'm going to pass you over to Steve. Steve's going to get all your contact information where people can find you. Steve.
Yeah, great information, Gerald. Absolutely fantastic. Chris and a lot of the listeners on both of the chat rooms have expressed their thanks for you coming on. They've also asked for a part 2 as well, so maybe we can look at that at a future date. We do have the link to the website, your website there, probablefuture.com, which I have posted up on both of the chat rooms every so often during the show for people who wanted to go check that out. Outside of the website there, are there any other avenues where people can find out more about your work?
It's mainly on the website, and you can find it from the course itself. It's a very lengthy course. It's 25 modules, and there's a lot of information given and experience.
Okay.
Most people that take the course have different experiences. That's interesting.
Okay.
And they usually get the experience they need, and as they take the course again, they get a different experience. So it's basically, I'm not the master of the orchestra. Their own higher self is going to give them the experiences and the teachings they need. They're going to get their own downloads.
Okay.
I'm just opening the door.
Okay, no problem. Sorry, Gerald, we just have to leave.
OYMIreland.com.
Okay, he's seen her in a smoky room, and that's all she wrote. That was a little bit of journey there. Don't stop believing.
Don't stop believing. Now,
Yes.
it's something that we've said before on OYM, about being positive and having positive people around you, because positivity feeds positivity. So what everybody should do who listens to this show and the podcast is look at the 6 closest people around you, okay, and ask yourself, do them 6 people add positivity in your life? And if any one of them is a kind of negative person and pulls on your energy and is a energy vampire, well, they're the people you need to get rid of in that circle, or else keep your distance away from them, because they're the people that will pull on your energy. You want to circle yourself around, have 6 people around you who are positive, and you feed off each other in a positive way. There's the mirroring again, alright, and we've said this on the show before, and that's very important. One thing I've kind of realised over the last few years doing OYM is that the more I kind of study and research and look into it, the more I don't get involved in I suppose the general public. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It just the energies can be different. So I won't say, I just limit my exposure to it, because it keeps my energy quite up. And you can get involved in politics and issues and all that when you don't really need to. So again, choose what you want to get involved in. I think that's important. And just for your own health, your own energy, your own consciousness. Or, as I say, the Open Mind Conference was great because there's so many open-minded people there that you could talk to anybody about the subject, and they were all open-minded. So, again, work with people who are on the same conscious level as you, on the vibration, on the energy, and speak to them. Not a problem when you're on the same energy. It's brilliant. But when you're dealing with people in the general public who are in the matrix, you know yourself, I'm sure you've all experienced it, and you know what it's like. So you just have to be a bit more picky, I suppose is the best way to put it. Right, we just want to say, before we finish up, for people who missed the start of the show, is that OYM have been running up to Christmas 8.5 years, and it's just getting to the stage where, obviously, Steve works full time. He does the 9 to 5. He's a bigger family than I have. I have more time on my hands, and OYM is like a full time job to me. Because even though we only do the 2 hours on Sunday, there's a lot of work that goes on during the week, and you have to research a plethora of stuff to kind of shrink it down to things you're going to talk about generally every week. And of course there's phone calls, emails, and people asking things, and project work and other things that we're doing on the side. So it gets very, very busy. But the problem is that obviously the bills have to be paid and the food has to be bought, and for myself I have to start looking around for some work. And now it'd be brilliant to obviously run OYM on a full-time basis. So what we've decided to do is we don't have the schedule for next year. We've actually run the schedule up to the last Sunday for this year, and because myself and Steve talked about it and to see what we wanted to do. So what we said is, a listener last week on the show, I forget which listener said it, but thanks for suggesting it, that maybe we should look at Patreon, as what THI did. And if we could get enough funding just to kind of keep the things ticking over, paying the bills, and a couple of quid just to kind of cover my time in OYM and Steve as well, then that would be fantastic. Now, it'll only be for a short period of time, because if the trust fund does sort itself out and the funds get released from THI with Thomas and Kim and the foundation, then obviously we won't need Patreon. So hopefully it'll be only for a short period of time just to keep things going. So You can fund through Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/OYM radio, we just launched it tonight on the radio show. You can also go to PayPal, and then what we'll do is we'll send out an email and let people know as well, and put it on Facebook and MeWe. And then we're going to let the listeners decide whether OYM should carry on or not. That's the best way to do it, because you guys have been fantastic. Your support has been fantastic. Over the years, it's just been brilliant. And the people who are, I mean, even on the chat tonight, the people who said they would support us financially, again, you know who you are. You know, we really, really do appreciate it, and we are humbled by it. We really do, because as we have always said on OYM, we're just two dads, just talking about what's going on in the world and asking people on the radio show to get their point of view on what's going on in the world. And we're nothing more than, you know, what we say we are, two dads. And if you've met us, then I'm sure you'll probably agree with that. You know, that's really it, Steve, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, anyone who meets us.
Although
generally are shocked.
They're shocked. They go, "You mean I didn't know you were that old. You sound younger on the radio." That's what you normally say. So we'll send out the links to Patreon, and as I say, we leave it down to you guys to the listeners to decide, and we'll mention it over a few weeks, because not everybody tunes in to OEM, because everybody has their different interests on the show. Next week we have Dermot O'Cahala. I think it's Irish way of spelling it, and Jeff Rood. We're going to be talking about Ireland and about things that are going on with the councils and the corruption and everything else. There's a couple of other guests who are trying to get on. One is a person who's going to be dealing with light technologies and using light energy to heal, which sounds quite interesting. And we got contacted by Joseph Chipolone, JC, down in Australia, and he's still knocking about. So we said to him, well, why don't you come on the show and tell us, you know, what happened and what's going on and everything else. So we did email him, and we've asked him to come on, because we have been asked by listeners, you know, is JC going to be coming on the show again? What happened to him? So, yeah, we were in contact via email during the week, and so we're going to try and get JC on. And then, obviously, you know, for the listeners, if there's any guests that you know that you think would be good to come on the show, by all means, send us an email in to info@oymradio.com, and we'll be more than happy to have a look at the guest and see what the background is and everything else, and get them on the show and have a chat, you know. And obviously we cover a plethora of subjects, so we're very open-minded to that. But there you go. So what have you got planned for the week, Steve? Anything coming up?
No, not too much. I'm just gonna give a plug there to what was I going to say? Oh, I've lost it now. Yeah, sorry, the Three Amigos. I normally give a little shout out there to the Three Amigos, who are generally on PIR on Monday from 9 o'clock onwards, 9 o'clock till late. But I've just been informed that the Three Amigos are taking a sabbatical, so will not be on tomorrow. But as far as I'm aware, next up after us, I think Barry is back in the chair, Barry Prince, with the big puzzle. He wasn't here last week, but I believe Barry is back tonight. On a personal note, what am I going to be doing during the week? Well, that little project that I mentioned at the top of the show that we undertook in the men's shed, that needs to be not painted. What's the word? What did I put on the varnish? I put some varnish on it. My painting skills are not great, but I did have a little attempt at varnishing. So that has to be, I think it has to be 3 coats or something like that. I don't know. If anyone wants to enlighten me, you're more than welcome. With my eyesight, I can't read the tin, so I think it's going to be 3 coats. I got 2 on it already, so a little bit of sanding to do. So unfortunately, that's pretty much all I'm going to be doing.
Can I just quickly read out, Gerald just sent us a message on Skype there, and that's really nice, Gerald, what he said. He said that, thank you, love being on your show. I have 30,000 students, and when you are ready with the YouTube broadcast, we'll post it for them to listen to. We had a very good and flowing energy. You guys rock. And I truly wish that many will see the importance of what you are offering and pitch in and help you. Please tell me what you want to do when you want to do the show in January. Have a great Christmas and have a wonderful 2019 to you and yours. That's very nice, Gerald. That's much appreciated. Thanks for that comment. It was a good show, great information, and hopefully in the new year we'll be in a position to do a part 2. But I know it's that time. So for myself, Alan James, take it easy. Have a good week, guys. And thanks again for your support. Much, much appreciated. We're humbled by it. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, we're going to pass over to People's Internet Radio. We'll catch you all again same time next week. Until then, I want to say thank you to everyone who joined us on the live show this evening, on the chat rooms, on our own chat room, on OYM, and also the chat room on PIR. You're a great bunch of people. You're here every week, and we love you. There's a lot of love in this room at the moment. So until next week, take care of yourselves and each other, and have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.